After 55 years of the Nigerian Civil War, or popularly known as the Nigeria and Biafra War, Mr. Gowon Yakubu is writing his autobiography, trying to explain some certain things about the war, relying only on his memory. But there are some funny things about what he wrote, what he has put in down, what he's telling people now. Gowon had 55 years to talk about what transpired during the war, but he did not. He could not, especially when Ojukwu was alive. He could not. Why? Because he knows that there is a problem with him. He knew that anything I say, Ojukwu is alive, he will counter it. He waited for Ojukwu to die. After Ojukwu must have died, he waited for people to forget what transpired. When I mean people forget what transpired, what led to the Civil War, before he now, come out to write his autobiography. Now, in that piece of write-up, he literally put all the hope name on Ojukwu. He said Ojukwu frustrated every move to have peace, to avoid the Civil War. But Gowon is forgetting one thing. Now, the whole world can only remember one thing that's supposed to stop the war, and that is the Aburi Accord. Yes. Who frustrated the Aburi Accord? He was the head of state. He had the responsibility of implementing the Aburi Accord. Only for Gowon to come out to tell the whole world that Ojukwu was announcing the meeting transacted in the accord. Ojukwu is not supposed to announce it because he is the leader. He's supposed to announce it. How does someone telling his people, this was the meeting we had, this was the business transacted in the meeting, how does it stop you from implementing the accord that could have stopped the Civil War? Now, let me tell you the most funny thing. The man who is saying that he's proud of uniting Nigeria, though when he's always talking bitterly. You will differentiate what he's saying with his mouth and what is in his mind. Anytime I watch Gowon psychologically, I see him that what he's saying is totally different from what is in his heart. So I can also say, as a psychologist, that Gowon is also lying himself, not people. Because what he's saying with his mouth is totally different from his both facial expression and his attitude of disposing those words. There is something that is not connecting there. If you are saying something, remembering some things, when you are saying the truth, your mood will look like someone who is saying the truth. Like, if I am talking with you and you are lying to me, I do not need to interrogate you too much. I will know that you are lying to me. Yes. And when you are saying the truth, I will know that you are saying the truth. Even though the truth you are saying is only truth to you. Maybe you don't know more about it. I will know that, this guy is just saying what he knows. I will know. Now, Gowon fled his home. Gowon fled his home. He fled his war-ravaged Plateau State. These are the issues Igbos were facing, the Southerners were facing. Any small thing, the whole Southerners in the North will be attacked. This is even before independence, started before independence. And after independence, people should go and read their history. And there is a reason why you people stop history in the schools. Because nobody wants to tell the history. The history, if you tell every child, any youth coming out, tell them the history of Nigeria, they will hate Nigeria immediately. So, Gowon said that about 3 million people died for the unity of Nigeria. My question again to Gowon is, does this country look like a country almost 5 million people died, even though you are claiming about 3 million? No. Sit down and look around. If what Gowon is saying is true, that he fought the war for unity and for this, for that, why did he flee his state? He could have stayed now. Let him stay, so that small children, all these Fulani militia, they will behead you. Why can't you stay in your home in Plateau State? Why can't you stay? If you united Nigeria, after uniting Nigeria, you ran away in your old age that you are supposed to be in your home. These are deceptions. And nobody wants to talk about all these things. Absolutely nobody. Nobody wants to talk. So, after the whole deed and done, Gowon could not even remember that this kind of killing, even his people now, are one of let me say, Plateau people are more victims than every Nigeria. His people are dying, and this is the same attack, the same kind of thing that was making Ojukwu to say, no, Nigeria cannot be compatible like this. It's either we go to regional autonomy, according to Aburi Accord, or we go in our separate ways. Ojukwu was right. Everybody knows Ojukwu was right. Ojukwu said, this killing cannot continue like this. All this attack, all this invasion, all these things cannot just continue like this. Let us find solution to this. Ojukwu was right. But you know what? Gowon is trying to shy away from all these things. He's trying to shy away from the reality that he cannot stay in his home for 2 days or 1 week. Gowon cannot stay in his home for 2 days and 1 week. In a country he said he built. In a country he said you're united. All your people are gone. Every day we bury 10 people, 5 people in your state. And you said you united the country. And this was the bone of contention, the hub of the talk, that you refused to sign that led to the civil war. And up to today, after 55 years, we are still fighting the same war. So is Ojukwu now the problem? Yeah, I want you people to think, is Ojukwu now the problem? After 55 years, the war continues. So is Ojukwu now the problem? So this is a time of sober reflection to Gowon. Gowon ought to have now put on his thinking cap in his old age and say that, truly, this war has not ended. Nigeria is still fighting war. After 55 years, the war continues. But right now, the war is not between the Biafra and Nigeria. The war is between the people who were targeting Biafrans before, that made Biafrans to say that they want to live. Mentality, ability to think is important. And that is what many black people are losing. We don't have the ability to think. And that is why in a country of over 230 million people, some politicians will import terrorists, and the terrorists have killed more than 1 million people. And they are still praising and voting for the person who brought the terrorists to kill them. Like, what is the problem of a black man? What is the problem of a black man? An average youth is looking for where to eat. He doesn't mind if the politician imported someone who killed his mother. He will campaign for the person just because of 10,000, and the politician killed your mother. A black man's mentality can never save anything. Before, I am one of the people who always rise against anyone saying that, oh, Africans have no IQ, black people have no IQ. Today, I understand what those people were saying. No, tell me now, no, calm down. I want you to tell me this. A politician imported terrorists, and those terrorists are beheading you, beheading your teachers, pursuing you out of your home. And you are still campaigning for that politician to return to power with just 10,000, 20,000. Like, what, I don't know adjective you use to qualify your mentality, what you stand for, what you stand to gain, I don't know. I don't know. Black man is wicked, totally wicked. No, tell me this. So, Gowon should know that there is a reality that has vindicated Ojukwu. And that is the reality of the current war we are facing in Nigeria. That is what Ojukwu wanted to avoid. All this continuous war. Today they attack these people, tomorrow they attack these people. It's avoidable. That is what Ojukwu wanted to avoid. That is the mission that led them to Aburi camp in Ghana. They had the agreement. Yes, they had the agreement. But at the end, it was truncated. And that was the end of everything. Totally. That was where everything ended. That was where everything ended. So the reality is directly opposite to Gowon's stance, to Gowon's autobiography. So everything Gowon has put in down, the reality is opposite of it. You said Ojukwu truncated process to have peace. Do you have peace today? After 55 years, do you have peace? Since 55 years ago, up to 20 million people have died through all this war. So we are even fighting a greater war. War of conquest. That was Ojukwu's stance then. War of conquest. Ojukwu have been saying it. That this is this is that. We can't continue to be dying. We can't be allowing them to kill our people. We need to live. And today it is still morning. You see, the problem is anytime Gowon is in Nigeria, he has people protecting him. He doesn't care about two people dying. Mass burial everywhere. Mass burial. If you turn eyes like this, mass burial. If you turn eyes like this, mass burial. You turn back, mass burial. You turn from, mass burial. And you are not ashamed that you are the causes of all those things. You know, I'm just saying the truth. I know. The way you interpret this, the way you understand this is none of my business, and it can never be my business. I am responsible to what I said, but I'm not responsible to what you understand. But the reality is that Gowon lied. The reality is that what is happening is against what Gowon is saying. Look at it. It speaks for itself. You said Ojukwu truncated the peace agreements that led to the war. That is a lie. You have the power to implement Aburi Accord. You did not. That is the only thing that will have changed Africa, not Nigeria. Change Africa entirely. You said you were sick, you have a headache, that is because of headache you could not announce the Aburi Accord. Like, I hate people who come to lie at their old age. And apart from that, you said because you want to unite Nigeria, that's why you went to war. Is Nigeria united today? We are more divided. So everything you did is totally not working. It didn't work. And today, you flee your home in your old age. Like in this our young age, we travel, we run up and down, we struggle, hoping that from our 50s, 60s, we'll come back home and settle down and start relaxing. Start telling people the reality of life. Start telling people everything you know, your experiences. But in your old age, you flee. Not only you, so many people who supported this evil they call administration in Nigeria. Kumuyi flee. Pastor Kumuyi also flee. After saying that God will use Tinubu to change Nigeria, he said God will use Buhari to change Nigeria. he flee. Why are they running out? Why are they running out? We must be able to tell ourselves the truth. If you speak the truth, you will die. If you did not speak the truth, you will die. So there is no need to, be wasting time. I've said what I said, what Gowon wrote. Everybody knows. In fact, a lot of people are laughing at him. People know that this is not the truth.
But at the end of it, I don't want to go because these things are all, the tapes are available. The records are there. In fact, only about 2 weeks ago, I saw a set of the records again. The transcripts are available. But we talked about the Nigerian situation. And certainly, at the end, everybody says, oh, you told them this, you did that. The fact was that our case was so clear that I actually believe at the end of Aburi that the problem was not Gowon, but probably some ambassadors in Lagos who were pressing on something else. Because we understood each other. We agreed on every single point. The drafting was, in fact, my chief secretary with 2 other chief secretaries from the other side. I said, no. And drafted, and agreed, we looked at it, we agreed. General Ankra read over the whole report again to us at the end. Asked us if we wanted to amend anything. No. At the end of all that, the position was so good that actually Ankra drove Jack Gowon and myself to the airport. Jack was sitting on his left, I was sitting on his right. He was in the middle. And in the course of that journey, at a point, General Ankra shook his head and said, oh, thank you. Thank you. If only we can go on like this, everything would be all right. I believe I was the one. As I do now from time to time, I go for the dramatic. Suddenly I picked up Gowon's hand, put it on Ankra's lap, brought my other hand, placed it on it, and I said, General Sir, hold us together, I want to say something. So General Ankra put his hand on top of the 2 hands, and I said, General, I want to assure you that I am totally satisfied with everything we said. I will even go further and say to you something I did not say at the conference, and that is that once we have implemented everything we have said, I would ask you for one favor and one favor only, and that would be to be the one to propose Jack Gowon as a head of state of Nigeria.
It was a 2-day conference of peers and old mates, but its aftermath produced even further controversy.
When we came back, Ojukwu did not go to make the statement he made first, virtually giving the impression that we've agreed for a confederation to move apart, etc., which was really not exactly that. If I had had the opportunity to make my broadcast first, because that was the agreement, not for him to make the broadcast first, then if I had committed myself to what he said, then there wouldn't have been any problem. But he went and said certain things that certainly looked wrong, and therefore we saw in practically everything he did, I think it was to play up to the gallery, not being sincere.
At Aburi, yes, we agreed on area commands for the armed forces. At Aburi, we agreed that the police force will be decentralized. We agreed on those. Yes. We agreed even to show that we didn't separate. At Aburi, we also agreed on a certain revenue formula. That's what happened at Aburi. Aburi again, because I always end up, this sounds odd today, but I always end up saying I must have been naive, because I believed actually that would be the end. I'll confess to you, when I got back to Enugu, oh yes, I had a party, believing that probably the danger was over. That's what we thought. Until they then began to deny everything. It was the denial of Nigeria that made me publish the tapes of Aburi, because we had insisted that each one should have a set of tapes. Everybody talks about confederation. Go and look at the transcript. There is no time that the word confederation came from my lips.
In broad terms, Aburi changed the title of head of state from Supreme Military Commander to Commander-in-Chief, gave the regions control over internal affairs, and concurrence of each region was now required for any decision affecting the whole country.
Like this in wonder shall never do. Yes, so God bless Happy myself for this great exposure. You understand? So now with this, some of us no know. Now Happy myself nine exposed. So you understand me? So all this way they happen. You don't wait start. Now do the time will go on. You understand? Now it start. So we need to know all these things. Well, I know my thought motion. I don't listen to Happy myself. So I'm gonna share our thoughts on the conversation on Sugar Boy.